years. Parsons gets a $188 million contract in Green Bay, $136 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. And as I just said to him off the air, Kirk Herbstreit joining us live. Tomorrow morning, as game day comes on from Columbus, all will feel right with the world again, because that's sort of the way these guys make you feel. And it'll be a day unlike any other tomorrow. And Herbie, we're going to dive into all the monster college matchups in a moment. But you, of course, also do the NFL games now Thursday nights on Amazon Prime. What is your reaction to this enormous trade of Micah Parsons to the Packers yesterday?
A little bit of a different take. I mean, if you're just going to look at it from the XO standpoint, I mean, you lose a great player physically, and obviously you could take a game over. But I look at this in a different way. This is a new coach trying to build a new culture, and your alpha, your best player is sitting out in a negotiation that's not working out. And not only that, but just some of the optics of it with some of the things he did during camp. It just wasn't good. And then the drama that's always with Dallas is going on and on and on between he and the organization and Jerry Jones. I think at this point it is probably best to just give him his opportunity to go to another franchise. And then Dallas can almost start over as far as inside the building, the culture of trying to build this thing from the ground up defensively. We know what you guys were just talking about what Dak and that offense can do. But if they're ever going to be a real contender, not only in their division but the NFC, they got to get better defensively. Now you say, how do you get better by losing Micah Parsons? I think you're just looking at that, like physically what he does. But what does he do behind the scenes to the culture of who the Dallas Cowboys are? For Dallas not willing to sign him, it must have been significant enough to say, hey, let's get rid of this guy, even though he's a great player, and let's try to build this thing kind of like the little engine that could, us against the world type of thing. And I know it sounds crazy, but I applaud Dallas in letting him go and trying to build a culture of team instead of an individual. And we'll see what happens with Dallas this year. But I don't think this is a play for 2025. I think it's a play for 25, 26, 27, and beyond.
It's an interesting perspective. And look, you have heard whispers, and maybe even louder than whispers, that he may not have been the most popular player in the building. We actually will dive into at the desk that topic as we continue here, Herb, because it's an interesting angle, and we hadn't gone there yet. But let's put you now into the place that all of us...
Remember, Greeny.
Yeah.
Remember, it's a team game.
Yeah.
As much as the world has become individually driven, at the end of the day, we celebrate Tom Brady because he wins Super Bowls for the team, not for himself. And I think sometimes we get lost in that. You're trying to be a coach or an organization. You're trying to get your arms around an entire team, not just an individual. And the best teams, the best players set the culture. The best teams in the NFL or college football, you're the hardest workers are your best players. The guys that have the best team attitude are your best players. Those are the teams that go to the playoffs, not the guys that are caught up in themselves. And so I just think Dallas has probably got to a point and said, we got to start over. And, you could kick them while they're down, but I think long-term, I think it'll work out for them.
Very interesting perspective on that. We'll continue it as we go here. But I want to make sure, again, we had a whole college show planned for today, and then the trade happens at 6 o'clock last night. And I'm on the phone with Fink all night figuring out but we wanted to make sure that we still got into these games. So you're there in Columbus. Tomorrow morning will be an unbelievable day with game day with Coach Corso and everything. And then we will see Arch Manning. And I've been saying all week that while it's not his debut, it sort of feels a little bit like a debut at the same time, and he does it on the road against one of the best teams in the country, the defending national champs. How do you believe his coach, Steve Sarkisian, can put him in the best position to succeed with all of this pressure?
Well, Grady, first, before we roll to B-roll, let me just say this on camera, that I think this was very intentional. That Arch Manning and his dad Cooper and his mom and his entire family sent him to Austin knowing that Quinn Ewers was going to be there for a couple years, allow him to kind of be in the background as much as he could be, to grow and mature as much as he could in the shadows. And they intentionally sent him to Sark, to Texas, because Sark would understand that, and it allowed him to now be in position to be in his third year. And now we can roll the B-roll. Now we can see what he can do. But I think this was a plan all along. They wanted him to just, like a lot of these five-star guys like Bryce Underwood, bang, they're just thrown in. Arch has had a chance to simmer for the last couple years, grow, get a little bit of reps, get a little bit of this, get a little bit of that. Watch Texas over the last couple years make a deep run in the playoff. Now he's ready. Now he's had a chance to mature. Now I would not be shocked if he goes out there. The moment will not be too big. The Ohio State defense, the crowd, which most quarterbacks struggle with, I think because of the way they did it, I think these last 2 years will really benefit him. Now, he's going up against a defense that will fly around with Matt Patricia with an NFL scheme. A lot of new faces. Ohio State lost 8 defensive players that were 3-year starters. So that's a ton of experience that led them to a national title. But it's going to be fun. You got Arch Manning, you got a new Ohio State defense with a new coordinator. You know, right back here behind me. Let's put the ball in the air and see who's the better team at noon.
It's a fascinating game. That'll be early in the day. The nightcap, or late in the evening, of course. You and Chris Fowler, I had him here earlier this week. You will have the battle of the Tigers, Clemson and LSU. And I'm fascinated in the battle of these two quarterbacks, Garrett Nussmeier on one side, Cade Klubnik on the other. Give everyone an idea who doesn't really know much about these quarterbacks what we expect to see tomorrow night.
Well, these will be the guys you'll be talking about in April as you get ready to break down the draft. You know, Mel will be having these guys all over the place. Cade Klubnik really stepped up. This is a 5-star guy, won 3 high school state championships, was the MVP of the Elite 11 over Quinn Ewers that year. And everybody just thought, again, like we just talked about with Arch, he'd just walk in and be the guy. And he wasn't. He wasn't ready. And he would be the first one to tell you that he wasn't ready. He bounced back his junior year, had a great year, 34 touchdowns, only 6 picks. And now he comes back as a seasoned veteran as a senior. I'm excited to see what he can do. Many people think he and the Clemson Tigers are ready to win a national title. We'll see. And then on the other side, you know, Garrett Nussmeier to me is a great story because he had to sit behind Jaden Daniels and had to grow himself. And you know, a lot of people thought he would leave. He's a coach's son. His dad's the defense or offensive coordinator for the Saints this year. And he just sat there and let Jaden be Jaden, win a Heisman. And then he took over last year, had some great moments, Greeny. But he had some inexplicable turnovers and just kind of like a blew a fuse. He's looked to try to put that out of his game. And so how fitting is it that 2 experienced veteran quarterbacks go head-to-head, both with national championship aspirations, which are legit, by the way, and they happen to face each other week 1 in the Battle of Death Valleys down at Clemson. I can't wait to get down there.
We'll have that one tomorrow night, primetime on ABC. And then let's just take a moment here. I've been at ESPN 29 years. Anyone who works here knows how meaningful your relationship with Coach Lee Corso is and has been for you and for him and for everybody at ESPN over the years. Tomorrow will be his final show on College Game Day as one of the most important people in the history of the sport. And I think our audience would just love a quick reflection from you here on what you think that will be like and what it means to you.
Well, Greeny, you know, he's the greatest entertainer with the headgear, and people see that side of him. But I think the reason folks like myself get emotional talking about him is because what happens behind the scenes. And we're about to walk into a College Game Day production meeting, our first of the year, and he'll already be sitting there. He has my 30th year on the show. He does it every year. He's 15 minutes early. First one sitting there. He'll have his, you know, his number 2 pencil out, his blank legal pad, his rundown for the show, sitting up perfectly, posture perfect and ready to go. Huge smile. Anybody, I'm saying anybody that walks into that room, huge smile, gets out of his seat, hugs them, says hello. So it's the intangibles that he brings to the show, and kind of like our founding father. And you know, he's 90 years old. I was at dinner with him last night. He's going to have a great lunch today with a lot of people who want to say hello to him and tell him how much they love him. So it's of course the great stuff that he does on air, but I think it's the relationships that he has with so many people that this show will really miss.
Herbie, this is terrific to have you back. Thank you very much. I know you're about to become the busiest person in the entire world. Thanks for taking a few minutes this morning. We'll be watching tomorrow College Game Day again. Lee Corso's final show.
You got it.
Live from Columbus. Okay, we'll come back to the madness of Micah.